All right, we can continue now. So let's move towards some advanced question for loop. The first question is, we are saying that print every item from a grocery list and check the length of each element. So first of all, how many elements are there in this grocery list? So list is this: pasta, rice, cheese, and others. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 6 elements are there in this list. Now the question is, we want to check the length of each element. This is first element, this is second, this is third, and similarly we have this sixth element. We have to check the length for each string. So first string has length is equal to 5, this have 4, this has 6, and similarly others. So the function to check the length of any string, it is len, right? Similarly, you can also check the total elements of this list by using this function. I will just show you after this example. So if I write for I in grocery, so grocery is this list. We will iterate through each element of this list. So first element will be pasta, which will be returned to I. So I will have value to as pasta, and it will just print I, and comma, we are also printing length of I. So length of I will be 5, since the 5, since in this string characters are 5. Similarly, in the next iteration, rice will go to I, and it will print rice, comma, length of rice. So rice have how many characters? It has 4 characters. So it will print rice, comma, 4. Let's print this, and you can see pasta 5, rice 4, cheese 6, mayonnaise 10, and others as well. Now one thing, can anyone tell me, first of all, anyone tell me, do we still have I variable or not in memory? If anyone can answer. Or was it erased from the memory once the loop is completed?
Still there.
And what would be the value of I?
Strawberries.
Yeah, that's right. So once the loop is completed, ith value will still be there. It will memory will be retained for this ith variable, and the last element that this for loop had, which was strawberries. So this will be the value of I if I print it separately. If I check print of I, and you can see it will have the value strawberries. So this is just for like explaining how the loop works, and it basically doesn't clean the memory once it is completed. And then one more thing I told you, if I want to check the how many elements are there in this list, we can use similar function, which is len. It basically find out the length of the elements that are there. We can use len, and what is the list? It is grocery. If I print this, you can see there are 6 elements. Okay, let's proceed. The second question is same. We are now just using f string to make it more better as a representation. We are writing item colon, the variable which is I. So remember, while we were using f string, we had to use the curly braces wherever you are using any variable. So I is a variable here. If I want to print out the value of I, we have to use curly braces. And then we are printing length of item, and then colon. And this is kind of also a value which we want to take it from the memory. So that's why we also have to use curly braces here also. If I print this, now you can see it is much better than the upper one, that we are specifically mentioning that this is an item and the length of item is 5. So this is just the better representation of the above cell. The next question is, so I already told you the effective way to find the list of elements that are there in the grocery list. But if you still want to use loop to find out the list of items, you can use count function, not the count function. Let's understand what is happening. So grocery, we have the same list. We are defining a variable which have value 0. So it is a numerical variable count, which have value 0 right now. And see this, that it is not under the for loop. This is out of the for loop. And then we are starting a loop for I in grocery, and it will iterate through all the elements. What we are doing here, we are using an assignment operator, which is plus equals to. So it is just similar to this. If I write like count is equal to count plus 1, this one and this one are exactly same. There is no difference. So let's use the upper one, since that looks much better to me. So for I in grocery, we are using count is equal to count plus 1. So count currently is 0. Then we are using plus 1. So in the first element, it will be incremented to 1. So after the first iteration, count will have value as 1. In the second iteration, it will do old value of count, which is 1, plus 1. So it will be 2 after the second iteration. Similarly, it will go up to sixth iteration, and finally count will have value 6 at the end of the for loop. And finally, you can see that this print statement is not under the for loop. So it will not be printing it 6 times. It will just complete this for loop. This for loop is completed after this statement. But Python programs checks that there are some other statements also that needs to be processed. So Python finds that this is the statement which is lying out of the for loop that I need to process. So it will just print it. You went to market to buy count. So count will have value as 6. It will print that and grocery items. But what if I write it under the for loop, which is the next question. So if I write print statement inside the for loop, can anyone tell me what will happen? What would be the difference from the above statement?
We will get individual grocery items. Like you went to market to buy pasta, grocery item. Like it will be repeated, I guess, for each and every.
So we are not printing the item right now. We are just printing the count. So what would be the output in the first iteration? So as we can
Yeah,
see that count will be printed.
yeah. It will be like one grocery item, two.
Yeah, that is the answer, because in the
Three, so cost.
yeah, that is right. So in the first iteration, pasta will be going to ith value, and then it will do count plus 1. So the now count value will be 1. In the same iteration, it will also print this statement as well. So there can be multiple statements under the for loop. It's not like we can just print one statement. There can be plenty of statements in just one for loop. So first of all, it will make the increment of count. It will be 1, and then it will be printing you went to market to buy 1 grocery items. In the next iteration, it will go to rice, then count will be 2, and it will print you went to market to buy 2 grocery items. So it will print up to 6. So it will print 6 times. The purpose of representing these two different cells is this: to show you the value or maybe power of indentation here. If you are doing the indentation inside the for loop, you can see that it is printing the statements n number of times, like n number of iterations times, you can understand. But here, if you are not using indentation inside the for loop, this statement is out of the for loop, so it will just print the statement once only. So this is the difference if we use indentation or not. The next question says, print all even and odd numbers between 1 to 10 with a message. So here, this is a program to check if the number is odd or even. So to just define the logic of even and odd, we have to find the remainder. If any value is divisible by 2 and doesn't leave any remainder, so that is even. And if any value leaves remainder as 1, so that is odd. So this is the simple concept that is there. And this normal mathematical concept is being applied here. So we are doing for I in range 1 comma 11. So it will iterate through 1. It will iterate from 1 to 10. And now we are using if else condition under the for loop. So this is important. So first of all, this is the colon for loop, and it is doing indentation. Then we are using if I. So what is I in the first iteration? It will be 1. if I modulus, so can anyone tell me what is the purpose of modulus? This is an arithmetic operator that we discussed.
It's a reminder.
Yes, you both guys are correct. So modulus operator checks if there is any remainder or not. So we are doing the first value will be 1. So 1 modulus 2. It will leave the remainder 1. So it's not equal to 0. So it will not going to print this statement. Then it will be moved to else and it will print this statement that I is 1. So 1 is odd. Something like that. But I just wanted to show you that first indentation is done here, which is for loop. And then you are using print statement, which is inside the if block. So you have to use double indentation here while you are working with this. And even if I press enter after the if condition, you can see where my cursor is coming by default. If I press enter here, you can see by default it has indented my statement, because indentation is very important in Python. If you are using loops, if you are using conditions, later on we will be defining user defined functions. Likewise, we are using print function, type function. We will create our own user defined functions. Those are the heart of Python. So in all the libraries like time, scikit-learn, numpy, pandas, what are these? These are collection of classes and functions that some user has defined, some community developer has defined. That's why you are taking benefit of those functions today. I will be explaining you all the libraries, functions, how it gets created, everything in detail. But right now, these concepts are important to like understand. Coming back to this question, if I modulus to 2, it will be 0. If equal to 0, then it will print odd, sorry, even. Else, it will be printing odd. In the next iteration, if value is 2, so 2 modulus 2 is actually equal to 0, since it will not leave any remainder. So our number is even. Let me print the answer. You can see 1 or 2 even, and it will go up to 10, which is even. This is very simple concept. You have to just apply the logics here. And trust me guys, if you really practice the if else question and the question that I'm going to send after this class, after this session, for loop also, if you practice those questions, you will be very proficient with using the syntax for if else and for loop, and you will be able to revise all the concepts that were discussed in the last 5 sessions or 6 sessions. So if you just like follow my instructions, you will definitely going to learn Python as we are teaching, as I'm teaching step by step. Okay, so the next question is find length n. We are saying length as n of each element and print each element n times. What it meant? So what are the characters of pasta? These are 5 characters. Means length of this string is 5. The length of rice is 4. Length of cheese is 6. So what I'm saying, so if the length of pasta is 5, print pasta 5 times. If length of rice is 4, print it 4 times. Similarly, cheese will be printed 6 times. Now we have to just define the logic how it will be done. So it is very simple. We are just iterating through each element, and then we are checking the length of this character, this string basically. So the length will be 5, and then we are multiplying it into I. So if we do pasta into 5, it will print pasta 5 times. If you still remember the arithmetic operation that we can apply on strings as well. So there were 2 arithmetic operations that we can apply on string. First was the plus operator, which basically concatenate 2 strings. Second operator was multiply, or the product you can say. So that basically do the multiplication of the string. It basically prints the multiple times that we are defining, and it only works, the multiplication operator only works with one string and one number. So in this case, I is a string, which will be pasta, then rice, then cheese, and length of I will be a number, so it will be 5. So if I write, let me just show in the below cell, if I write a multiply by 5, what would be the answer? It will print 5 times a. Similarly, in the above example, it will print pasta 5 times, then rice 4 times. Let me print this. You can see the output that it is printing it to the multiple times as per their length. moving to next question. Check how much amount you will get if you do a fixed deposit. This is the actually program which I used when I was learning Python few years ago to find out how much amount I will get after if I do a fixed deposit after certain years. So suppose the principal is 1 lakh and interest is 0.09, which is very high right now. So what we are doing, we are defining a logic for I in range 1 comma 10. This means we want to compute the value after 10 years. What would be the value after 10 years? So it will go up to 9. So it should be 11. Okay, so now it will be iterate through 1 to 10. Now you have to just define the logic of the compound interest. So what is compound interest? That the updated interest will be updated principal will be computed. Sorry, let me rephrase. The interest you are computing for the first year, it will be added to the principal, and in the next year the updated principal will be used to calculate the interest. So that is the compound interest. And now the original principal was 1 lakh.